Hi, everybody. It's Deirdre. Crazy times, huh? I know this morning I woke up in quiet and a real almost like bliss. But it goes, doesn't it? It goes quickly. There's so much going on and we can get lost in it. Reminded me of a story that I wrote about in my book, Attachment-Based Yoga and Meditation for Trauma Recovery. And it's a story that I'd heard years ago, so in the 80s. I'm trying to remember where I was at that point. I think I was living in an ashram, and I went to visit my parents, and my parents had, got National Geographic every week. Remember? Do those of you remember when, not every week, every month, we'd get a beautiful, glossy National Geographic. Well, it was in 1988 because I researched it for the book, but what I found was the story and how pertinent it is to right now. In that story, the National Geographic authors were writing about the fires that were happening in Yellowstone. And I remember this so vividly, that the fires were just plowing through everything. And the whole debate at that point was, do you stop the fires or do you let them roar through and ruin everything? And the National Park Service made a very surprising decision for that time, as they let the fires burn instead of just letting them run haphazard through it. And the businesses complained and didn't want this to happen, and everybody thought this was going to be the end of this beautiful environment. But what the crazy thing was that in the year after the fires burned, Yellowstone had more visitors than they ever had come. And what they realized, and this is what the Park Service was trying to say, is that yes, fire is destructive, it ruins things, but it also regenerates. And what they talked about, which I didn't know anything about, not knowing these things, is that these fires actually are regenerative. They allow things to burn and come forward. They allow this, whatever happens as the fire burns and the trees burn aside, something else comes forward. They said the burned Vine Park proved nutritious for elk, that the grizzlies prospered, that the aspen seedlings appeared everywhere. And over the next 8 years, white bark pine seedlings appeared in all 200. I'm feeling emotional, but I think that's because this is about our times, right? That all this newness comes up. And this is what yoga teaches us fundamentally, more than anything, is that we are going to get crushed by life. But the whole purpose of it is not to crush us down so that there's nothing there, but that we emerge, that our soul, what's underneath everything, actually comes forward. The hard times of our life are meant to grind us down, are meant to take away that which isn't us so that we can come forward. But you and I, we know how hard that is, right? When we're in the grinding down process, not any one of us likes that. At least I don't know anybody who does. I certainly don't. I rebel, I protest, I get upset. They're very hard things. And mostly because we don't know. We don't know how to do this. No, we haven't been taught how to be in the fire of transformation and allow that to move through us. We don't know how, in the midst of chaos, to listen to these signals inside that say, A, you're okay. You can find your way through. This is the path. When something falls apart, whether it's a marriage or a long relationship, or we lose a job, or the virus comes and scares the heck out of us, we don't know how to listen from inside to the wisdom that keeps guiding us and telling us what to do. So we get caught in the storm and drama of it all, and we collapse under it. We are frightened, and who wouldn't be? How normal, how natural. But within that, and this is where I love the intersection of attachment theory and the ancient wisdom traditions like yoga that say there is a connection. We are connected, and our simple, powerful needs are part of what will teach us and guide us the way through. But we have to listen to them. And one of the things we know is that we are brought up to think our needs are sort of bad, right? We're thought we're being needy if we need love, reassurance, connection, warmth, kindness, mentoring, guidance, if we need help getting through conflict, if we need somebody to just understand our protests and our upset without taking it personally. These are the things that we're not taught. Most of us, very few of us. In fact, the research says that 3 out of 4 of us do not have a secure attachment. That's a lot of people. And I certainly, I've grown a lot and developed. I have what we call an earned secure attachment if we were to rate it and do all the studies on me, and I'm sure for you too. But even underneath that, we have those parts of us that are incomplete. And it's about being kind and considerate and gracious to those parts of us and holding us together so that we can continue the process. We're never done. I wish I was done, right? We wish there was a place we could get to where we'd be finished, but we're not. We're not. It's the practice of it. And this is the beauty of the ancient wisdom traditions that say we're not done. It's about practicing. It's about being in the process of life so that we can learn how to move through it, right? So when the fire of transformation comes, we actually know what to do. And this is where I weaved together the ancient wisdom traditions with attachment theory. So John Bowlby, who is the grandfather of attachment theory, and his colleague James Robertson had studied these kids in hospitals when they were removed from their families. And in those days, caregivers and parents weren't allowed to hang out with the kids. So there was a lot of, it's scary as heck, right? To be separated from your caregiver, your attachment figure, your parent when you're young. When we're old too, right? With our loved ones, we want our loved ones around us. So what they studied is what happens to these kids, and they saw these 3 phases, what they call the separation distress, separation anxiety. The first phase is protest, where there's a real active tantruming and upset and rage about being separated. The second phase is where there's some despair. It's sometimes quiet or sometimes not. It has a whole range of experiences. And then there's detachment. There are these 3 phases, and we can actually look at detachment as a sense of dissociation, separation from ourselves, like we have to get away from the pain. And Bowlby at the time really suggested we not think of this detachment as a good thing, right? That it's not that we have it together. It's that we just can't bear the pain any longer of it, so we separate from ourselves. So what I began to do is take that research and think about that whole range of things as protests. Like, we're upset when the transformational fire comes through. We are upset. None of us like it, right? What is the thing we say? We say, this isn't right. It's not fair. It shouldn't be like this, right? And that protest shows up all kinds of ways. And it shows up multiple times during our day when we're hearing noises outside that we don't like, when somebody says something we don't like. There's just a constant of it. And we have to learn how to take that protest, recognize it for what it is, instead of getting wound up in it. And how many of us, right? How many of us in the process of this pandemic are we're caught in our protest and we swirl in it. Our task is to say, here's the protest. Let me take pause, notice what's going on, and see what is it I need. What do I need right now? What do I need? And what are the small, tiny steps I can take to get whatever I need, to get that need met, whether it's inside myself, with somebody else, or actually even providing that need to somebody else. Because sometimes we're picking up the needs that need to be met. So we meet those needs. And often what happens is when we are authentically and generously connected to ourselves inside, when we offer those needs out, we receive those needs in return. So it's so, right now we are in it. We are in it. I don't know anybody who isn't in some form or fashion, right? We're at different times we're in it. And so we need to know how to be connected to ourselves and be right in ourselves through this whole process. Because it's hard. We need to know basically what our thoughts, feelings, and body sensations are. We need how to deconstruct that inside so that we can actually, in that process, begin to orient in the ways that we want to. And we can do this. I see people do this all the time. But it might very well mean that we need to do this in connection with each other. We need to support each other in doing this. I'm just sitting here, sitting with this. Oh, thank you guys for all your feedback. That's so nice. Thank you. Right. Alice, thank you for taking the time to show us love and care, dear, to remind us that our broken parts matter. For sure, right? Annie's saying, I need to hear this today because of my words. Oh, honey, listen, totally understandable, right? Totally understandable. Share your worries. Let's see how we can monitor them and ease them, for sure. Which leads me to one of the things I wanted to talk about, which is that we need to stay connected and continue building a solid, steady, secure self inside. I remember the first time I heard that, people talked about at a psychological conference I was at, and they talked about having a self-structure, self-container, and I was like, what are they talking about? That psychological sense of self. I had no idea what that was, right? So I needed to build that, and it was through the study and work I did on attachment theory with Dan Brown, who was my incredible mentor, that really helped me get it. And what I realized is, how do we not just have the theory about what it is to have a self inside, a solid, secure, steady self? What is it like to have an earned, secure self? It really requires us to do the work inside and embody that, and embody all of us. There's a practice we have called Soham in the yogic tradition. And the way I've been using it, working with myself and with people, is that I am everything, right? In yoga, so much is about union and connection, that there is no separation. And we are constantly, because of the duality of our nature, we are constantly separating ourselves. So we need to learn how to rejoin and reconnect to everything. And this means I am everything. I am everything. I am the pandemic. I am the fear. I am the overwhelm. I am the love that I have in my heart. I am the goodness. I am my neighbor who last night brought us over a half dozen donuts. Like crazy good things happen just simply, and we're all of that, right? So the practice that I do is reaching out and gathering that positive, or all of that, and just bringing that in. Gather the pandemic, the worries, my fears. Breathe it in. How much can I let it come in? Let it come in. I can, even just doing that, Annie, I'm thinking of you say, because of your worries, and I'm thinking we all have worries. So as I'm gathering that out there, I'm just, and as I draw it to, I can feel inside, and we can train ourselves. These are the signals we're learning to be aware of without being overwhelmed in them. So, if you gather your worry and you bring it close to you, like here I don't know if you can see it, I'm doing with my hands, is bringing it close. How do you bring it? Like I can feel a little bit of hesitation. And how do we bring it close and meet that hesitation without freaking out and without pushing it away? It's about saying, okay, there's my worry. There's my worry. How do I just hang out with my worry? Hang out. So hum. I am this too. I am this too. I am this too. And just allow that, to soften the energetic connection with it. It's like, okay, I can soften. Don't have to push it. Don't have to shove it. Don't have to fight into it. Don't have to get caught in the fight of it. It's just breathing and letting it move in, so that it can move in and through and around us, just what all the life force is. And yoga is telling us prana is the life force that is always flowing in, through, and around us, always. And its singular goal is to bring us home to ourselves. Singular goal, to bring us home to ourselves. But you know what happens? And this is the transformation. As it's going in and through and around us, it is going to hit up against something. Let's say our worry. It's going to hit up against the worry and make it hard to be with. And then that prana, as it comes up against this hard constriction of the worry, is going to just find a way to keep moving and softening it and easing it. And our task is not to be in a fight around that, but just to let it happen. Let it happen. Like my Sufi teachers would say, let it roll around you like water around boulders in the stream. Right? So that's what we're looking for, is how to be with this. Gwen is saying, I appreciate your sighing. It helps me. I'm so glad, Gwen. Right? August saying it's so helpful to be reminded, even though it's hard to do, but to just keep working at it. Yes. Yes. It is so helpful and important. And that's why, somewhere we got this idea that it has to be, we're there and done, as if there's a place to get to. But no, this is the process. This is a process. And some of us are connected to our dear friend Liz, who is in the hospital at the moment, and has been there for a while with all kinds. This is even before the CV-19. And I think about, how do we be in those situations and continue to bring love and love and love over and over, caring for ourselves, caring for other people, caring for the people who are caring for us. These are hard tasks when our body is in distress in some kind. Right? We are being deconstructed. This is the fire of transformation that's happening, and it's tough business. But the fire of transformation is not meant to crush us, but to allow that which isn't us to come forward. I can feel it happening in myself. I can feel new stuff starting to rise. I was going to say I don't like it. Actually, what I'm learning to do is remember to soften, remember to let it flow. Sharon is here. Oh, how great, Sharon. I'm so glad to be here with you too. Yeah, thank you. Annie's saying thank you too. Oh, thank you, honey. And Gwen is saying, it reminds me of leaning into worries. Yes. Yes, we have to lean into our worries, bring them closer. We are not separate. This is what the ancient wisdom traditions say. We are not separate from another. So here's what all this is about, is building a solid, steady self, being in the practice of it. And this weekend, actually in a couple of days, today's Wednesday, Friday, I was to be down in Athens, Georgia, leading a workshop there. And it was going to be in person. It was going to be about embodying attachment, taking all this attachment theory and how do we actually bring it into our body and live this way. Take the theory, make it ours, and from the inside out. So because there's this chaos now going on, And the pandemic, obviously, I'm not going. I don't want to put anyone else in danger. I don't want me to be in danger. But that is going to be offered virtually. So you are able to join that instead of just being for the people who are going to be there live. So I'm putting in the, if I'm spelling this right, virtual. There's the link for it if you want to come join. I forget what the price is. It's lower than it would be if you were there in person, but would love to have you come and join me there in virtual in a safe way with a safe, what do we call social distancing? What's the word there? So that we really stay safe, but continue not just to learn, but to practice. This is about practice. This is about deepening into what's true. And what's true not just from one point of view, but multiple points of view. So from the point of view of trauma treatment, from the point of view of attachment theory, and from the point of view of the ancient wisdom traditions that remind us that it's safe to let go, that it's safe to trust the transformation that's happening. It's safe for us to let go of that which we're holding on to with all our might, and to gently release our fingers and let it flow through. Think of it as if you have an ice cube in your hand and you're holding an ice cube. First of all, it's like ice burns when it's first there. But over time, it's going to melt and melt and melt and roll. And that's part of what I think we're being invited to do, is to soften and relax and trust this that's coming through. I'm going to be doing also a live call on, I think, Sunday. So there'll be many things. I'm trying to do everything I can to support you and give you all the help that I have accumulated, and be with you in a way that supports me as well, because we are in this together. We're not separate. We're in this together. So lots of love to all of you, and send you a lot of love. And remember to practice, remember to breathe, simple little things. I also have, if you look on Facebook and Grow, Develop, and Flourish, I started a free group there, just providing whatever I can, and I'll just keep posting something every day, little practices. I have some more that I want to do, so. Letitia, thank you. Yeah, great. Love to you. Love to you, Jen. Transformation is happening. That's what's happening. It's what is going on, and we need each other, support each other. We need to love each other, and remember. That's the most important thing. Remember. Everything is rising. It will crest and it will fall. And if we listen to the experts, they're actually saying we're going to flatten the curve. So this is all about flattening the curve, but it's about riding the wave with love. All right, my dears. Lots of love to you.